Hello, everyone, and welcome. My name is Vincent. I'm a card game designer, and I'm happy to have you here. Today, we are discussing the Edge of Eternities mechanics. So, for those that do not know, Edge of Eternities is the newest Magic the Gathering set that is releasing, and wow, it seems like Final Fantasy had just happened. But here we are with Edge of Eternities. It is Magic's first foray. Is that the right word? The right way to say it? Anyways, first foray into space in a major way. Yeah, they literally have spacecraft as a new card type. So spacecraft you could sort of look at as vehicles in a way. It's not exactly the same. Because the spacecraft have a new mechanic called station, and what station is we have the 4+ here. Essentially, you have to tap your creatures that you control to add counters, charge counters specifically, onto this card. And then once it reaches this number here, which in this case is 4 or higher, it becomes stationed and becomes an artifact creature. So then in this case, you could use it as a 2/2 flying creature. So to me, this is a pretty cool mechanic because it feels like it like with vehicles, for example, you have to constantly keep crewing the vehicles to keep using them, and this one has a less immediate payoff, but then once you like station them to get to the counters, they're sort of like always crewed, if you want to put it that way, so you can always use the spacecraft assuming nothing removes those counters from it. It does seem like they will try to use station in the future for other things than spacecraft. So that was sort of their agnostic term for them to use. I know some people were saying it felt a little too sci-fi to say station, but you could station, people at a military base or station firefighters at the. So it seems like it's neutral enough to be used in different circumstances. In my opinion, I think the mechanic itself will play well. I think people like this. It's very much of a battle cruiser thing going on, and we literally have battle cruisers, so I say that works out pretty well. Once we move, oh yeah, and spacecraft vehicles and commander. Essentially, to sum that up, they can now be your commander if they're legendary. I personally think that's probably a good thing, but I don't know. I try to think like of iconic shows and just media in general that have an iconic spacecraft or vehicle, and I think to myself, does that is that what people think of like when they think of the iconic characters of the show? Because I think part of the fun of Commander is what the face of your deck is, and I just wonder if it feels like the face of your deck if it's going to be a vehicle. But I'm not like I'm not particularly. I'm kind of neutral on it, I guess, is my immediate like sort of gut reaction. It seems like from the little bit I heard, people like the idea, but I'm curious to hear what you think. If you really love the idea, if you hate the idea, or if you're neutral. Next up, we have Planet, which it seems to be that they are enjoying adding these new types to their lands. With the Final Fantasy set, we saw that they added towns, and so Planet seems to be similar in the fact that there's no rules or functionality tied directly to this type, but there will be cards that care about this type. So there will be cards that care about planets, but they don't do anything on their own. However, every planet in this set will have a station mechanic, but that's not to say that every planet we see in the future will have a station mechanic. This one in particular, you have to get 12 plus counters on it, which is a lot, but once you do, you can use it to add a blue mana for each artifact you control. So that can definitely be a lot of mana once you get there. Next up, we have Warp, which essentially allows you to play your creature for its warp cost. So it will have like an enter the battlefield effect. And then once you activate that, you have to then exile it at the beginning of your next end step, and then you can play it from exile on a future turn, similar to how Adventure works. So once it's in exile, it can bring itself out of exile as long as you warped it. And so, yeah. So I think that's a really good mechanic. It gives you the ability, it gives you some flexibility so you can use things early. You can use your early mana, especially in this case, to get another land and then bring it back on the later turn. So having that flexibility within your cards is going to give you a lot more opportunities to use it, to play the game, and it makes the cards better overall. It's more fun gameplay and just better. So definitely a plus. Next up, we have Void, which is all about giving you a bonus if a non-land permanent left the battlefield or something was warped this turn. This is just something that basically fits right into the set, given the mechanics and everything happening. And even though it may seem a bit parasitic, which if you don't know, parasitic in game design is referring to things only working within a tight subset of itself and not being able to work with a lot of cards outside of that or any cards outside of that. In this case, it actually does. It may sound parasitic because it uses the phrasing warped on it, but it's also saying if any non-land permanent left the battlefield, then that counts for being void as well. So there's actually a lot of instances in which something like this can work. And in this case, instead of giving a creature -2/-2, it gives the creature -10/-10 if the void effect is triggered, which I imagine would be a lot in this set. So that seems like a solid card. Always go for removal. And then we have Void on a creature. At the beginning of your end step, if a non-land permanent left the battlefield this turn or a spell was warped this turn, put a +1/+1 counter on this creature. Again, I think that this is a good mechanic. And it kind of reminds me of Morbid in a way from Innistrad, which is if a creature died this turn, then this happens. And then I believe this is the last mechanic. We have the Lander tokens. Do we have any more? Okay, yeah. The Lander tokens is the last one. So this one's sort of in the same vein as treasure tokens, clue tokens, etc. It creates a token artifact, in this case a lander, and you can pay 2 colorless mana tap, sacrifice the token to search your library for a basic land card, put it onto the battlefield tapped, and then shuffle your library. So this one I think is solid. It gives mana ramp to every color, which is cool. It does so in a way to where it's definitely building towards, this whole set is building towards the idea of sort of having slower beginning turns to build up to a big finale. I assume for the limited format, they want you to end the games with your spacecrafts duking it out in the field, just having these giant spacecrafts blowing each other up. And then sort of everything leading into that by playing like, some smaller cards, but then they get bigger because of void, and you're warping some of your big cards, and you're setting out your landers and getting lands, and it builds into this giant finale. So to me, the limited format for this seems really awesome. I'm not super into like this sort of dark sci-fi stuff, so I'm not sure if like thematically this is for me, but for what they're going for, I think this looks like a home run in terms of mechanics. I think Station looks like something that a lot of people will like. It kind of reminds me of Level Up, which RIP, I love Level Up, but it seems like Wizards doesn't. Hopefully we'll get something cool with Level Up in the future, but we'll see. But Station, I think, is a really solid mechanic. Planet, I think, is a cool subtype. And definitely just a nice, cherry on top for the set. Warp is super cool. Void's probably like my least favorite, but it's one of those kind of mechanics that help sort of fill out the set. It wouldn't surprise me if this is like the last one that they designed, because it just kind of rounds off the edges. And then for the lander tokens, I think those are super cool. So yeah, I'd say overall this seems like a slam dunk. Now we of course have to see how the set plays. The Final Fantasy set ended up playing super well, so I have a lot of confidence this is going to play well and people are going to enjoy this set. We'll see. Let me know in the comments below what you think of the set, of the mechanics. Are you excited to play? Do you like this dark sci-fi thing for Magic the Gathering? How do you feel about it in comparison to the Final Fantasy set or to the Spider-Man set coming out? And of course, if you haven't liked, comment, and subscribe, please do that. It does help out a lot. And some people like to leave nasty comments, so if you'd like to leave a thumbs up or something just to let me know that you like the content, then I'd appreciate it. We also have our own card drops going on At the moment, for Summerween is the theme for this month. Next month, we're hitting our swimsuit special, and we have some fun new surprises past that. So if you want to check out our cards and our games, be sure to do so. Also, just keep alsoing. You can check out our Discord in the link below. We have a fun community. We'd love to see you there. Take care and stay awesome. Hey, what is up? If you are a fan of anime and tabletop games, then be sure to check out our card games, tabletop role-playing games, and even our manga. We have a lot of fun stuff over there for you to check out on our website, VindicateEntertainment.com. We even have a brand new tabletop role-playing game, Black Paper Moon. Check it out, and we'll see you there.